Trading Christmas sounded really interesting, and there were bits of it that I thought were quite interesting and quite well done, but really I'm a little bit disappointed in it. Now, I didn't have very high, I hadn't heard of it before, so I didn't know what to expect. I'd give it maybe a 5.5 out of 10, and that's okay. I didn't expect it to be phenomenal. But what's surprising is that it has 7 out of 10 on IMDb, and it's very rare that I will rate a film lower than the average on IMDb. So I don't know if that says more about me. It probably does. I'd still recommend it, but it's not a film that I will ever watch again. It was released in 2011. It feels, apart from a couple of things that, piece it at that time, it feels quite dated. It feels like it could have been filmed in the mid-90s, which, is not a problem, but it just doesn't feel like quite such a contemporary film. Directed by Michael M. Scott, written by Bruce Graham and Debbie Macomber, and stars Tom Cavanagh, Faith Ford, and Gil Bellows, probably Gil Bellows, and also Gabrielle Miller. And the description from IMDb describes it quite nicely, and this says, a teacher from Washington State decides to do a house swap with a Boston professor to be able to surprise and spend Christmas with her daughter. Not the most eloquently written description, but it covers it quite well, basically. These two individuals do house swaps, one of them so she can be near her daughter, the other one so he can get away and do some writing. I was quite excited about the fact he had a writing deadline. I love films about writing, about writers. Really, it's not an important factor. It doesn't, he could have been there for any reason. It's not really that important for the narrative. With regards to the mother who goes to Boston, yeah, I'll be honest, I liked her. I think she was my favourite character in this, and I kind of feel like without her it probably wouldn't have been quite so interesting, and it wouldn't have really carried itself as well. I liked her reaction when she realised something. I was going to say something that would probably be a spoiler, but things don't go to plan from her from the very beginning. And I kind of liked her reaction to that. I thought it was really good, very convincing. But beyond that, it's about two separate people, of course, the professor and the mother. And they both encounter a certain person that makes their Christmas a bit more special. But it's not that romantic. It's not, on the one hand, it's quite predictable, but at the same time, there are things that aren't predictable, but the things that I didn't predict were not that exciting. It's not the most festive. It's not, decorations everywhere and wrapping presents and singing carols. It definitely doesn't really have a Christmassy feel to it. And none of the characters, maybe the professor I kind of liked, and the mother I really liked, but apart from that, I didn't really care for any of the characters or the supporting characters. I just thought they were not very interesting, and I didn't really care about what happened to them. I felt like some of them could have been developed a little bit more. I think we were introduced to too many characters too quickly, without given the chance to ever get to know any of them in any real depth. So it meant some of their motivations weren't necessarily clear. There was information, of course, drip-fed throughout to bulk out their backgrounds, but not enough that I would have liked. So, as a rom-com set at Christmas, not very Christmassy, not very calm, and yeah, rom, but not, it's not the most romantic. It's not quintessential Hallmark romance. It is worth mentioning that this is a Hallmark film. At least it was broadcast on the Hallmark channel. So it was produced by Trade Street Productions and Front Street Pictures. I don't know what Hallmark's criteria is for broadcasting certain films. I don't know, Trade Street and Front Street could be subsidiaries of them. I've got no idea. But just because it's got the Hallmark name there, don't expect it to be a Hallmark film, because it isn't. Trading Christmas is not an amazing film. I was quite bored with quite a few bits of it, but ultimately it got to where it was meant to go, and because of that, I'm happy enough to recommend it if you're looking for an easy watch. Just don't expect anything fantastic.